Hello and welcome, and today is that of Crypto Day, Friday, 20th of April, 2018. It's also 420 Day, so we'll look at a little bit at the related codes to such within this video. Starting with Bitcoin Cash, and I think this can go up more. I think even 1% further higher. And when I say 1%, I don't mean 1% gains on price. Although, no, I do mean 1% gain on price because it's 13% of the price of Bitcoin. I think it can go to over 14% of the price of Bitcoin. Of course, trading wise, that would relate to about 7-8% gains and maybe even a little further, like 14.2, 14.3%, reaching this level of resistance. That would relate to a 38.2% move from this high and this low. So, 20 or 12% of a Bitcoin was a 23.6% level. And where's 12%? Like, yeah, right up here, hitting this top. This thing just keeps going higher and higher. Now, it's overextended. Maybe it's piercing extra above. Maybe this thing, although that's a large pierce, but hey, big moves. We've seen a fall from this level on February 20th. The bottom here, April the 12th. Not quite 2 months. It has been over a week since this date, going higher. Markets go up, yeah, a lot quicker than they go down. So when markets retrace, you just, the whole hodl thing, you just wait, maybe buy more as it goes down, and now you can start selling. As far as buy low, and then that of sell high. And of course, everything is always within your own risk, own reward for any investment choices you make. XRP Ripple. This level of resistance, multiple hit or support, now at a level to be that of resistance. Multiple hit here at the 9338, representing Fibonacci as well too. But I usually put those lines in for that reason. And obviously I don't remember when I put those in. However, I do see price action overextended. But just because it's overextended doesn't mean it cannot continue to proceed higher and remain further overextended even. Because usually when they get really good, they can go really high. Like, look at this size of these green candles here. So the last 3 days is the equivalency of like maybe just one good one of these, maybe a bit better than each of those two previous, or split the sum of those 2 days as it is. Markets can go up really fast when it needs to. On this day when it went really high, December 29th, market low 87.04, market high 13,850, difference. A little over 5,100 points. And you need over 44 to get 50%. So it's about a 60% gain or so in one day. 60% now would be like 160. And that's, of course, if it were to have something like that. But markets can do that. And when it had that, it was already up well from this low. So it was already well extended above the 18 average. Here we are having its correctionary move. And now when we count the number of green candles since it got above here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 9 in a row since this day in here. Okay, it's now 3 in a row since the consolidation, well above, of course, the 18 average. And what's important to note with all charts like this is when you have decent moves, you're at a spot where it's barely overextended, or you can just start saying that it is. And maybe you start thinking it's time to sell, and a lot of times it actually is, I would think, for most scenarios. But you're going to have this 18 average come back at some point in a correctionary move. You're going to be correcting at least 38.2% from this low at some given point. Whether that resistance is at 10,000, 12,000, 16, 24,000, 81,000, or 250,000. The whole point of me saying those big numbers is when these things fly high, they can go pretty good. But regardless of the fact, it's going to have to correct thereafter when it's done. And here's another case with Monero. All this opportunity to buy this correction, whether you were buying on the way down. And if you were buying on the way down thinking that 270 was cheap, well, you can start selling that now if you want, especially if you've bought maybe more at 250s and you had weeks to buy between 234 and the 257 handle. And right now it's getting in near the 300. Big update. 2 sessions prior, the low 247, the high 301. Difference 54 points. That's better than 20%. And when you see a candle like on the big one, where you have a little bit of a pullback, that's your small intraday move. So the 2 sessions that we see, current and previous, which are staying within this. So you want to take a look at it short term, but what you already know is it's holding its gain relatively well. And oh my, I mean, it's magnificent when you look at this on a single hour time frame. That when this thing can get above this level of resistance, that's basically means one of 2 things. Yes, one of 2 things. Start of a decent leg higher, and don't be surprised if the size of the green candles are like the one we see with the higher volume on April the 18th. Or we'll try to fill some of this correctionary move down here. Of course, starting with the next level right in there. But yeah, this is Monero looking like it's ready to pop for another game, possibly, of course. But if you see price action at like 301, 302, don't be surprised if an hour later it's significantly higher than that again. Next up is SNT. I just want to show it because I find it interesting. Yeah, first off, I'll talk about this key 1621 level. And it resisted it on April the 3rd, again on April the 13th. But now it's clearly looking to break it. Next key level, 2455, long-term number. So we're seeing small moves, and there really hasn't been any big moves for a while. I mean, you can almost withstand these moves here coming off of this. So since this decline on February the 10th, that's been nothing. Beforehand, before this, was there much for moves? Not really. So the only time was during that last bull market. Will there be another big volume, a high volume spike higher with those moves? Maybe. If it continues moving up on down with similar small volatility, then that will be it. Of course, this would still be monster volatility compared to traditional markets. On the shorter term time frame, this is what the chart is. I just think this is a magnificent looking chart within how it is reacting within the 18 average and several new legs higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Will it make a 6? We'll see. But nice looking chart. And it's really following how a lot of the cryptos have been, because they all went up at this time and they all went down, and now they're all starting to go up, back up again. So they go up together, down together, and it looks like we're in the early stages of them going higher. And I talk oftentimes about 2 teams like dice passing, playing a game like Magic the Gathering. One participant goes, they're finished their turn, they pass the dice, the other participant goes, and they continue playing the game. And we're playing the game here. Bears were in control of the market January, February, March, as we're into April now. With a lot of these market codes, the bulls, the buyers, the green color team are now in control, it seems. QTUM, interesting pattern. We'll see if this thing gets going or not pretty soon, but yeah, we went down, had one big up day on March the 19th. Since then, it has stayed significantly above where it came from. thus holding the gains well. The 18 average defining holding the gains in this case like it usually always does. Establishing big support at 189, but we're well north of that now at 231. Resistance was established at 257, and it stayed well south of that for its entire run, and it is still well south of it now. However, we've seen it before, these big up moves. One big up move like this to spark it, we'll be looking at big moves like we've seen in November, or December rather, if you have this scenario where it breaks it. And then when you break a situation like this, okay, we talk about coming back to where you came from, which is a big key number around 360. You got one key high at about 415, and then this high little under the 5 handle. And even the 555, because it goes back to last year. You never know how high this thing could go after it takes it, if it does, of course. We've seen it, it would probably happen relatively fast, and we'd see a lot of big green candles and a few decent-sized red ones along the way. And then afterwards, you probably have a big correction, but it could come up here to the 15. Who knows? But this is where the bar is set, or what the high level is. It's anytime you make new highs, you can, especially when you establish them really big with multiple levels of corrections from those key points, then you can have decent sized moves that follow. Zencash is up huge right now over the last so many days. It's back to where it came from. It's one of the early indicators. This thing bottomed and got going on March the 27th. It broke out of the 18 average of highs on April 1st or 2nd. Looks like the 2nd. And it's been above it ever since. You could have said it was overextended at 320. Okay, well now it's overextended at 460. The only difference is, the only thing worth noting, is that it's not too volatile right now. Which means high volatility has had a correction. So if another big green candle comes up, I'm like, yeah, okay, got a bit of energy to do such, because it's sort of correcting itself in an extremely nice uptrend. And who would have thought markets going up faster than they went down? In this case, this one went down pretty fast compared to, of course, the other ones as well. But look how big this level is here. It's been resisted quite often. Maybe one should state it's a sell opportunity now. And it could go up a bit higher, could come up and maybe hit these resistance points at the 5 something mark, maybe even closer to 550 to 6. And in a bullish case, well, I'm looking at higher lows. I'm looking at this one, and this one, which means maybe somewhere here it might be coming down to. It's a possibility. All I'll say is that I don't know what's more likely. A move going from the 45 handle down to 30, or for it to rally much higher, even double. But mathematically speaking, it's very difficult to determine how it's going to play out, because like I stated before, when you break a level of resistance, those things can go way off to the point that this overextended market has the potential to keep going. And then on this break of key level, have maybe one large size move higher. Then we'll start to see some red candles come in and maybe come back to here or even pierce below. That's one possibility. But again, ZEN, well overextended right now, but it keeps on doing it. Let's move next to Ethereum, ETH, and this thing is looking pretty good right now. Will we continue moving up further to the 78 handle? Well, the market's bullish now. Will we pull back a little bit? Well, right now, all sell-offs are guilty until proven innocent. But when you see a situation like this, That's a long ways down to the 18 average. And when you look at this on a more shorter term time frame, what do we see in here? Ooh, almost a defining moment for price action after having a nice run breaking resistance a couple days ago. Has now had this correctionary move on at the end of the day yesterday. Successfully hitting the 18 lows, having an okay rally. Still hanging in there. It's riding the 18 average of highs here. Which means if, say, 10 minutes later, or even now, something happens where price action gets up barely above this 18 average to this previous level, 696. It only has to go up like 0.5% to get there. Then it wouldn't surprise me if, say, in 15 minutes the price follows through to 702. And then it wouldn't surprise me then 10 minutes later that the price action would be maybe 715 or 717. And you have some decent sized green candles. Or one decent sized one, depending on, of course, what time of day it is. If it was close to the top of the hour, then maybe the course of two. But it has now switched over. When this thing is in its trends, we can see when it's up, it has its fun. When it's down, well, the bears have its fun. So back in 2016, when the market went over, price action breaking at 003 had no correctionary moves well below the 18 until it topped like 8 times higher. It then corrected, chopping around back and forth. But then the bears had its turn. And look at how much of an amazing turn this would be if you're looking at game theory and performance within such. How well did the bears do here? Fantastic. It never got above the 18 highs. It was rarely even above the 18. It was resisting the 18 lows throughout this entire run. But there we can see it changed over. The statement on January the 1st of last year, not this year. It was like, yes, we want to revert over. And look how much the bulls took control of this. Ever since this correctionary move of this gain held through, and the bulls with their turn bring the price from 0.01 to 0.05, a 5x gain. And then they do even more after it. It's like, after this is done, if you use the two-team analogy here, you can say that this team B this was their turn. Or you could think of it as, okay, hang on a second, I need a break here, the bulls would state. And then or something like, okay, the turn is over, and then a card is played, battle for next turn. So now the two teammates are in a neutral market, which means if you break resistance, of course, the bulls will have their turn. If you break support, the bears have their turn. And well, this obviously broke the resistance and had some more legs higher. But this is last year when the bears had their turn into place. A little bit of move. This was the battle again. Who gets the turn again? Well, the bears got another turn. Battle again. They tried to do a turn. Maybe they started one, but maybe early in the bulls' turn, they got a bad card, and that card hurt them because that worked really well with their opponent's hand, and then they just smashed that down. Last year with the rally. Huge gain. So when this thing gets going, you're trying to get cheap prices. Well, maybe you were able to get some, depending on if you were to say wait here and buy down in here. but it just continuously went higher and higher until the top. And then this bearish turn, and here we see it come into play. So early on in the session, and that's really the message of this entire crypto space market, is it's been in this long downtrend for several months, for the average code at least 3 months on average, continuously going down and sideways, with all rallies failing for pretty much most of them. And then they're all starting to turn over, but with the exception of the very few like Zen, they're well below their highs, in a pattern for a lot of them which are having higher highs and higher lows long term over the last year, 2, 3, or 4. But at least for the codes that have been around for a year or more, are in a long-term uptrend. And when you know it's in a long-term uptrend, that means you don't know how the resistance levels are going to fare off if the bull market gets very, very good in these cases. It also means that if there was a situation where all the markets top and go down, well, I'll be saying all of these rallies showed failed breakouts and fast moves lower. Have to use the 18 average to help determine and such if that's the case. But as I shown in each of the examples with Ethereum going and back, that whenever the market rechanged its trend over, that the 18 average never gave in on the bullish case. Okay, so that's Ethereum. Let's take a look next at Ethereum Classic. Hasn't been doing much but grinding higher with the market. So it might be a good code to show for such. Daily time frame. I haven't traded Ethereum in days and days and days, and yet it's been going higher. I'm now trading most of my markets against everything else. So when something's up really, really high, we'll talk about the 420 codes after ETC, then you sell. And they were high for a while. They're cooling off a little bit, but they still might get higher. But that's the next code. So therefore, when other codes get high, you sell them, and when the other ones are low, you buy. And there hasn't been a situation for me where Ethereum Classic over the last week or so has been worth too much or too little. But on the hourly time frame, this is a beautiful setup. Wow. I wasn't able to take advantage of this move, obviously, because I haven't traded this in like days and days and days. I didn't have a sell order high enough for this. I had a sell order in, but not at this level. Higher number I had it in for. Price action is staying well in a nice uptrend. 18 average on the 60-minute time frame has been spectacular. But in the recency test, I'm going to count this as a test of this high. I mean, it's, yeah, this number is 226, 22.6. This number here is, heck, a little bit higher. Now, I mean, it's just breaking out. So are we going to see a situation of this breaking that key level? Because this thing has the potential right now. Of course, you're going to watch this much later, or a little bit later at least, but does this thing got the potential to have a decent sized gain? Maybe. I just like how its pattern is looking. Okay, so now on to some of the key 420 style cannabis coins. I thought they would have an amazing day today just because of the day. I think that's just a weird way of thinking. But they were up big. You could say they were due for a pullback. They're all pulling back right now. Just to see here, let's go to my top losers. My top 5 losers that I have, my top losers overall on my list: THC, cannabis, dope, pot, Verge, Cloak, Sia Coin, Library Credits, ZCL, OK Cash, yeah. So the top 4 losers are all on the THC variety. So let's take a look at that one first on the daily term time frame. It has yet to come back to the 18 average of highs. It had a nice breakout yesterday. So this is an easy situation. Either you're having your correctionary move from point A, which is the lows down in here. Okay. Where we came from is where we are now. Down to even Fibonacci at 978. You can pierce a bit, but no, 1,000 to 1150. And if that doesn't work in, then we're talking the failed breakout, fast move higher. But in a situation, if this correctly can consolidate and correct its rally move, and time goes on, price goes on, and it starts to rally higher after the correction. You see it at $12.99, then at $13.60. Well, then again, don't be surprised to see decent sized green candles, and maybe this thing, it could have huge potential to go, and you've seen what happened with these things from before. Yeah, this thing went so sky high last time. Whether it can do it again, or even if it does a fraction of that gain in speed, that would still be amazing gains. So it's interesting risk, interesting reward situation. Definitely the failed move, fast move for the long term of this break in the 18 is totally in place. But I'd rather be playing a correctionary move on the 18 in a situation like this than I would back in here when this has been able to digest and hold gains for several days, where this one didn't have that situation. Also, this one came from a sideways trend and large move down, where this one was coming from a decent end of a correctionary move from this gain. So another leg lower. Okay. So that is THC. Let's look at CANN next on the daily term. Well, before we do that, let's take a look at this shorter term. And yeah, so that would be the major resistance breakout at 1251. It does look like it's going to have a short-term leg lower. And I'm saying failed move, fast move, because 1251 was big resistance. It got above it in here. It stayed a little bit above it for a while. This was its situational move here. Would it be able to correct where you'd want it to the 18 average of lows here, which was also where it came from. But it didn't do so. Decent sized red candle here, and its continuation going lower. It's already been down this area before, so I can see it was priced in here down at this point. So I would be looking next for this price to go down to probably 1,000 even down to the 978 mark. But that doesn't mean it will. If anything happens where it all goes up for whatever fundamental reason, then it doesn't matter about any of this type of technical indicator stuff. And I'll just say, okay, failed move, fast move higher, whatever. CANN. Let's take a look at this on the hourly time frame first, because that's where I'm on. You can see that it has been declining as well. Similar thing about this breaking of this resistance at about 775, having a decent gain, and now it's not holding such. When you look at this on the daily chart, okay, it's correcting the 18 average of highs. The 18 average of lows can still be bullish support, and it's down to 641. Let's move on to the next code. DOPE. Not as bullish of a look. However, when you look at this thing on the grand scheme of things, it's ideal for swing trading, and it's kind of holding long term for the last year or so, roughly where it's at now. Okay, green candle up, and it's at an instant move back down to the 18. Good news, bad news, I guess. It's always a bearish signal that it immediately gives back the majority of its gain the next period thereafter. But it's back to where it came from, as we can see. It's at the 18 average. And the trend is trying to go higher. It's really unlike the rest of a lot of the other markets, which are showing very good bullish signals. This one, not quite as much. But it's got a lot of up and down volatility towards it. Potcoin is next. And we can see that this one looking a little bit nicer, but look at the size of these down moves, just smaller compared to these up moves. Markets go down a lot slower than they go up. A lot of potential for big up moves if this statement of going higher is coming into place. Because we can see the exact same thing here that I talked about, the failed breakout of a key resistance, the original set level, and then let's take a look at this maybe on a 3-hour time frame. Yeah. So the original resistance, it pulls back, and then it comes up, it tested again, and here again, and now we're seeing this uptrend starting to pull over, but every single time it has left this high, it has went below this 18 average of lows, and when it was done going lower, it was a key point. It then, of course, got back above it. It got below the 18 average of lows in here and had several periods grinding lower. And here we are above it or below it again. And of course, this is just a 3-hour time frame. There's so many different ways of looking at it. We got the 400-minute, which is having, you could say, its third test of the 18 average of lows after barely making higher highs each time. And yeah, so that will be it for that particular codes, or that's the series of the 420 based coins. Let's take a look at Verge, which had its huge big day a few days ago after a long large rally going from 319 up to 1400 and change. That's the thing about these cryptos. When they have huge volatility. When they're ready to go, they go up faster than they go down. Of course, this went down pretty fast. So I guess in most cases, how is this looking on a shorter term time frame, 1-hour time frame? Well, the decline came in. There was several opportunities to trade this short term. I took advantage of a few of them, going up and down, but within this level, the 18 average was never beaten. The resistance was won every single time. But then you have the double green candle move up to stop the downtrend. Resistance has been established, but since it stopped the downtrend, it's been staying in this sideways consolidation pattern. It broke below the 18 average of lows 8 this morning Eastern time. Then it's been resisting it between 11 o'clock and noon. So we're now seeing signs as if this thing would be ready to possibly go down for another leg lower. If it does, we'd be looking next at about the 700 level where it came from. And we'd also be looking at 644. Now that would be pretty fast to have just a quick move, make a lower high. That would be very bearish if 644 doesn't hold. Because when we look at the grand scheme of things, we got key low back in here, key high. Higher low. Okay, even though it went down pretty big, and it was a decent size move, although this log chart is not that good on here. So I can't say that it was a pretty decent size move based on this view, because I think it was only a regular one size move. And with that being stated, is this appears below a key support level? Because anytime you see this thing getting going, it's going to show on the shorter term time frame breaking of any kind of trends. So therefore, you would see something on like a 3-hour time frame. It moves higher, like it did out in here. And although that's just a bad time frame to use, let's use like a 15-minute. Yeah, in a successful situation where it gets going, it's either just going to skyrocket on the short term, and then like it did back here, or it's going to do a normal reversal. So something like back in here. It got above and it failed to correct this 18 average. See, if this red candle down move at 6:15 a.m. today was a big green candle up, that would have been what successful support situations do. So if you see something like that where it gets above it, and the market would have potential for magnificent plays higher. Actually, NEO is another chart that I wanted to show you because it had a very interesting setup a few hours ago, like it was ready to get going for a pretty good gain. This is the 15-minute chart, so it hasn't happened yet. But this is what's interesting about this one, is it gets up to where we stand today on April the 12th, pulls back, and, well, it's been 8 days. Just trading within an uptrend. But ever since retesting this high a few days ago, it has just stayed within this key point. This thing looks pretty darn near good. But even if we just look at the last like 20 or 15, 16, 17 periods in here, do so with like, say, a 45-minute time frame maybe. You get all of these higher lows, and we have the two big resistance fields that we've seen it now just getting above this 18 average 2 periods ago. It's holding that right now. There's 6 minutes and 26 seconds left in a 45-minute period, so it's late in the period. This thing looks ready to get going for a pretty decent size gain. Okay, this will be the last code because we're almost 40 minutes in. I'm probably going to be not using the comments section on this very soon, as the spammers have been taking control of my comment section. And if that's the case, in the near term, I would probably remove comments completely on here and work completely towards Skype, where I'll do about 3 morning sessions and maybe 2 evening sessions per week, where I'll be available in there for questions, or just if you want to talk markets, or really almost anything. And you don't need a Skype account to join, which is magnificent as well. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll let you know when I'll do that next, but probably Sunday morning, maybe Saturday night as well. Although the Leaf game is on Saturday night, so Saturday afternoon. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.